Ooh, a lot of you are cold this morning. Get ready for the warm air. Maybe one more big snow. And I mean like a big snow as in like a 1-inch snow. Good morning, David. Good morning to ZK. Marlene's on. Adam, good to see you. Hello, Shonda. All right. Hope you guys are trying to stay warm on this cold March 18th. But as we've been talking about, this is going to be a changeable day today. It's going to be kind of a wild look at times out the window, a little misleading, as we're going to get a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow, and a little bit of sunshine. And temperatures will be about 20 degrees warmer than what they are now in a matter of hours. So a lot of changes will be coming our way. I'll walk you through it. Hello, everyone. I am wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Snow Talk. We'll do Snow Talk for today at least, and then we may get back into Storm Talk. We'll see. I'll try to explain on how that's going to play out in just a second. I realize I may have forgot a map in my system, so hang tight. I want to get that in. So hold on, make sure I got it in the system here. Let's see. You guys know how I am. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday as well. I'm never in good shape on a Wednesday. Tawana knows this. Never. By the time I get to Wednesday, I'm falling apart. Thursday, I get a little bit of energy, and then Friday, I'm really tired. I'm really over it at that point. And I'm here, by the way, this Saturday morning. Carson's off, so I'll be in Saturday morning with you all bright and early. So we'll have another blog on Saturday. And that'll be a nice, calm, warm day. So that I can certainly handle. All right, let's get into, I haven't done the snowboard in a while, right? I don't think I have. So let's do that real quick. Let me show you that. And nothing really major here. A lot of question marks, to be honest. Very low confidence on the extended, and I'll explain why we're feeling that way at the moment. Not unusual for March, but in this particular period, it is. Next week, there is a front that will likely slide through. Question is timing on it, but as of now, there is some potential that there could be some rain, maybe some thunder with that. Don't see anything major right now, but that could actually end as a bit of snow, a bit. And then what will happen for that weekend? We've talked about this before, I think last week, before we got into the severe weather, about what would the last weekend of March look like. And that still has the potential to be a colder weekend for sure, and maybe even a clipper that could give us a little bit of a light snow. But that too is a bit in question. So I'll give you the latest trend for the end of March. There's a lot of talk about that already online. We'll look at that, and then we'll take a brief look at April as well if we have a little bit of time. All right, fair enough. Are you guys still with me, or did the system crash? Hold on one second. Are y'all still with me? Let me know. Okay. It glitched for a second, so I wanted to make sure that you guys are on. Still here. Okay, good. Thank you. All right. Everything, my mouth literally froze mid-motion on the screen on my right, and I was like, oh, great. All right, so this morning we're looking at some snowflakes. I saw some on the way in, but they're very tiny. It's mainly flurries, nothing major. It's a live look into Corden. Dry air is still lingering in the lowest layer of the atmosphere, but above our head, it is actually quite saturated to where it's easy for a snowflake to form today. That's not a problem. The problem is that the snowflake is falling, and then it gets to the lowest 1,000 feet, and then all of a sudden it just gets ate alive by the dry air, or it shrinks down so much that all you see is a little flurry that flies down. Now, there's an exception to that. There are some areas that are getting a little bit more of a burst of snow showers. I'll show you that here in a second. All right, it's 33 in Louisville. Hey, we're above freezing. What'd you say, Adam? I think YouTube crashed. Did it? Okay. Yeah, I can't reconnect it on my end. Sorry about that. Yeah, everything literally just glitched on the system there. So I apologize if you lost connection. But I think we're still on Facebook and on the app, of course, if you want to go there. Okay. 33 in Louisville, so we're above freezing. First time we've been above freezing since the storms brought in that cold air Sunday night, early Monday. So nice to try to thaw out. Still below freezing northeast, and look at the mid-30s showing up. If you're down in Fort Knox, Bullitt County in general, Bardstown, you're in the mid-30s. So while we are still talking about some snowflakes will be flying here at times today, it will not cause any problems. All right. Now, you can tell by looking at the radar, if we were to draw this in, this would be actually a circle. We sometimes refer to that as like the donut hole look. That's a sign of dry air. The radar does that on purpose to tell us that. So we know that there's dry air over us. Doesn't mean you can't get flurries in the middle of that. You indeed have. I saw them on the way in. So they are falling out of that base, but not very impressive to cause any problems. This has got a little bit more of a kick to it, but it's also, again, in temperatures in the mid to upper 30s. So there is a chance this is going to likely continue to drift a little bit more to the south and east. It may actually redevelop another band somewhere here in Indiana. There are signs another band may pop in the next couple of hours and also drop to the south and east. But as you saw there on the temperature map, temperatures are beginning to beginning to go up as you hit across areas of the Mississippi Valley. So that warmer air is pushing in underneath all the snow showers. So while the snowflakes are still falling out of the cloud, not only is the dry air eating them up now, but as we get enough moisture to finally get everything to the ground level, the warmer air is coming in at the ground level and melting the flake into a raindrop. So it's going to be hard to get an impressive look on snow showers falling through the sky here today. But I think it may be a bit of a struggle because it is so cold still aloft above our head that it will be a battle of off and on rain, then back and forth to snow. It may do that in some areas, especially in southern Kentucky there along the parkways as we head into lunch and early afternoon. But again, not a big ordeal. It's not going to accumulate. So very minor issue in many areas. In fact, we may even get, as I alluded to earlier, a little bit of sun that may shine a little bit later on today. Here is our in-house model. What it's doing here, it's really trying to show the reality of what is most likely reaching the ground. So that's fair. So it's, kind of sad looking here, this little wave. But as it drifts to the east, it shows that struggle right around lunch as it moves across central Kentucky along 65 again, rain and or raindrops or snowflakes. All right, enough of that. Notice the little bit of clearing late day. Should be a really nice sunset today. You'll get the clearing at the last minute, and the sun's going to light up the bellies of the clouds that will be exiting to the east toward Lexington. So you'll see kind of the undertow there, the clouds, the underbelly of them have a nice little glow for sunset this evening. So it should be a nice second half of the day, but for the next 6 hours at least, pretty gloomy outside and a little messy at times with that little bit of a mixture. All right, so that moves out tomorrow. We'll warm it up where it's rain. We don't have any issues on the type tomorrow. But tomorrow, there are two things that are happening back to back. We have some fairly fast-moving fronts that are Great Lakes fronts that'll be moving rapidly from, I would say, Chicago through about Charleston, West Virginia. And there's one Thursday afternoon and there's one Friday afternoon. Very, very similar paths on both of them. We will get a little warmer tomorrow and just a little bit warmer on Friday, but both days will feel likely the same and will look about the same because we will have clouds that will increase with both of these fronts. So it's going to be tough to get a lot of blue sky for the next couple of days. So we may actually have more blue sky later today than we will have for Thursday and Friday. But it will at least be warming up. So that's all right, right? I mean, we're getting a nice little trade-off, and I haven't gotten to the good news yet for the weekend, so I'll share that with you here in just a second. So as we into Thursday morning, clouds increase. Here comes that first wave. It's not really trying to spit up much here. Even yesterday, I had a little bit more of a showery look to it toward Louisville. We're going to hold on to the rain chance. We're going to keep it intact along the 71 corridor right into Louisville, but no doubt if you're in Ohio into West Virginia, you're a little closer to the moisture source near the boundary itself. So a few rain showers possible, but for the rest of the area, we may just see an increase in clouds, and that may be about it. And certainly if you're more west of I-65, I doubt you'll see anything at all on the radar for you. All right, that moves on by, as I mentioned, we reset, do it again Friday. Same nearly boundary here, front moving across Ohio and Pennsylvania. Tries to spark a few rain showers, a bit of a struggle toward Louisville. We'll hold on to a small rain chance as it scoots on by. And then we have a chance to finally get rid of that mess for a bit and get ready for not just a spring weekend, but a summer feel for the weekend coming our way. So let's get into that. As we head into Saturday afternoon, get a nice little warming trend here. There's the Cape showing up in red, but there's no way to really lift the air yet, so don't worry about that. So even though it's showing red, it's not mean storms are going to fire, just means that the fuel starts to develop, but if there's nothing to take advantage of that or to lift the air, then it's a nothing burger. So I think overall Saturday is trending warmer. I will say our Horizon model, the AI model, I didn't put it in here, but it is alluding to mid to upper 80s in the Ohio Valley for this weekend. Now, we're not quite ready to go that warm, but I think lower 80s are a pretty good bet for this weekend. And there could be some overachieving. So sometimes the horizon model does pretty good on sniffing out those surges of warmth. It may be off on timing, but it does a good job on sniffing out that potential. So I'm not discounting that. So stay tuned. We'll see how this goes the next few days. But I do think it will be a warm weekend. And Saturday looks warm without much in the way of anything to track on the radar. Again, you can't really do anything with the air at that point. So nothing to worry about there. Sunday's a little different, of course. Notice the fuel increase to the gold level. You get into gold, now you've really got to the point where you can get thunderstorms. If anything lifts the air, well, here's the mechanism to do that. A front drops in Sunday night into early Monday. Now, the direction's different than the last one. The last one came in due west. Remember that big long squall line, right? That came through. This one's coming in straight in from Canada and dropping south. That is not a prime setup for severe weather. You have the wind flow that is nearly identical to as the front moves in. So you're going to have more of a unidirectional shear, which means if there's any strong winds that would happen, if any thunderstorms could form, it would be straight line wind, not a tornado type setup. And typically in these, you actually get more hail, and not large hail, but a lot of pea-sized hail that can develop if anything can form. But that's the question. Will we have enough moisture to allow anything to form at all? Just like the Thursday and Friday fronts, east of 65 is more prone to anything to develop because this is a repeating pattern. So it's 1, 2, and 3 that happens. The only difference is for the Sunday wave is obviously we're a lot warmer this weekend compared to tomorrow and Friday. We're talking about low to maybe mid 80s. So at that point, okay, now you got enough fuel. You can get some of these thunderstorms to form. The Euro is the most aggressive out of just about every model I've seen with the amount of fuel and the thunderstorm setup, and a little faster with them being more evening for these to try to form. All the other modeling I've been looking at is after midnight, like 2 a.m. Monday morning. And even then, because it's so late, the fuel has decreased so much, there's not even a lightning indicator. So it's just a band of showers at best. So still some questions on how this will play out for Sunday night into the wee hours of your Monday morning. Just know we're watching it, but right now, nothing to be overly concerned about. It does drop our temperatures down, though, for Monday, so the 80s are not going to last very long, unfortunately. We're going to reset again, and then we'll get into what will happen for next week. And this is going to be a complex setup because the pattern of these fronts moving in from the Great Lakes is going to be a common theme we're going to face for the rest of March. You see the ridge out here into western United States. This is not a prime setup to allow large storm systems to come off the Rockies and produce big-time severe weather into the plains, into the Ohio Valley. I know there's some data that's been trending that way and showing that. I think the CFS model especially is really trying to play up the severe risk going into the end of March. I'm not sold on that yet because I think the polar vortex is not done with us. I think it keeps sending in lobes, rotating around the Hudson Bay into Canada, and that's allowing for these fronts to be more northern based than they will be coming out of the southern plains. It's tough to get a lot of severe weather with that, but it also means that every time we try to warm up, we do get knocked down again, to quote Chumbawamba. As we head into, I would say, every 3 or 4 days, we will get a front of some sort that will move in from the north. And they'll struggle with moisture, but they could still provide for at least some rain, maybe some thunderstorms, but they'll struggle. And they could bring us maybe some flakes on the other side. That's where the snowboard comes into play with those snow chances. The Euro, again, not overly thrilled on a lot happening, to be honest, for the next week and a half, really for the rest of the month, just because of the northern base of these troughs coming in. I hope that makes sense. I did look at the CFS or the CSU, excuse me, the AI for any severe risk. And the only thing that showed up is Sunday. It's a very low end potential, but it does at least have the chance to get maybe some gusty thunderstorms. I don't want to say severe, but maybe gusty as we get into Sunday evening. So Sunday is really the only day I think we just got to pay attention to see whether or not, if the Euro's onto something. If it is earlier timing into Sunday evening, yes, it will take full advantage of the 80s for that day and have a little bit more moisture to work with. Yes. If it's late at night, I don't see anything happening here. So It's really going to be a debate on timing with the front for Sunday night, and I think that's where the CSU is coming into play. Other than that, not much to worry about. And as we get further along into the end of March and early April, this is one of the signals we look at for blocking is the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation. This is what has happened so far in the blue line. These are all the predictive ideas that the NAO will do down the road. Now, the ones with the circles on them here, that is the most recent run. If it goes below the black line, you get into a blocking setup to allow for cold attacks to drop in from Canada. Notice for next weekend, several of the runs point to that. The most recent one kind of delays it, kind of struggles a bit, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happens here. Hello. And then absolutely just drops it on April Fool's Day. Whether that's a joke or not, I don't know. But you can tell that it's still fighting the idea that there could be a blocking setup coming in from these lobes from the polar vortex. So the cold shots are not done yet. They just will get less aggressive as you get further along in the season because the sun angle is getting higher up. So it gets to the point where they get annoying now, right? If you're not getting to the point where you can even snow, but it's cold enough, you're just not having fun being outside, then everyone gets grouchy. And we ran into that last year. If you remember, we had these pieces of the polar vortex that just kept repeating all the way into May. It took forever to get that train to stop. And once we did, we finally got into some summer, right? But until then, it was really tough to enjoy spring. And I think this year so far has got a very similar look to it, where these lobes will keep coming in. So we're going to get these fall spring warmths. Everyone's going to get excited, and then it's a reality check. So what I'm trying to say is don't change your wardrobe yet. Don't put away the winter clothes. Hold on to them for a while longer, it looks like. But also keep the shorts ready and the flip-flops. Fair enough? Let me show you the 10-day, and I'll get to your questions here. What we're going to do is, obviously for a 10-day especially, we're going to go on the cautionary side. I'm giving you the behind-the-scenes look of the data that we see and where our thoughts are, kind of on the fence of going. But the 10-day is more of a smoothed out idea of what all the chaos is in our head. So we're going to go with 80s for the weekend. Again, I think this weekend is going to be warm. I hope you're ready for that. It's going to be nice. I love the timing for the weekend. Next week, we drop again, but not as dramatic of a drop as we're going through this week. And then we'll just see whether or not we get another front that can give us some thunderstorms, say next Thursday. That may be the one that may end as brief snow or mixed with snow Thursday night, maybe Friday morning. That's possible. And then we'll just see how temperatures trend for that weekend. A little too far out to get more specific than that, but at least you have an idea. Okay, so hello, Renee. At least not a lot of rain. You're right. Last year we had a lot of rain, right? They came into play. So at least we don't have a lot of that to worry about as we head into this pattern, at least next couple of weeks. Now, I can't speak on April yet. We haven't have a chance to dissect that completely, but it wouldn't surprise me that that may trend back up again. My computer locked up again. Hold on. Why does this always happen to me? Does anybody else have trouble with this when they're on doing their live streams? I feel like it's always me, and that makes me feel really old. Hold on one second. I'll try to get you back up here on a different computer. There we go. I got you. Okay, now you're back on. Sorry about that. Sorry, Renee. Let's see. Hey, Ben, I'll take a bit of a temperature roller coaster if it means a break from severe weather chances. Yes, I agree. These cool waves, while they are annoying, it does keep the drama down just a bit. Once we get the storm track where they start rolling off the Rockies again, we get low pressures coming in from that direction. That is when I do worry that we're going to get back into a bigger severe weather period. I don't think that's going to happen for the end of March here. April, perhaps, because we'll start to get warmer shots of air and still get these little lobes coming in from the cold. So the two, it's all about timing. If they do interact, then yeah, it could. But no one really knows that right now. Everyone's talking theory, and that's fair. That's what we do in meteorology. Everyone talks about the far out period, right? Let's see. It's almost April. Are we done with the cold weather, Joseph? Hopefully I answered your question there, Joseph. Sorry, I'm just not getting some of your older comments. Not time yet. Shonda's ready for the flip-flops on Saturday. Yep, it's time. I hate that the blooms, we have several. I'm really bad with some of the dogwood names and the early trees that bloom. So my brother's a horticulturist. And I know some on the flowers and landscaping and plants, not as much as my brother does. But I know that just like last year, we had the blooms that were early, and then we got a freeze, and then the blooms just died off. It's already happened in my neighborhood. That's a little frustrating because it was such a pretty sight over this past weekend, driving down my neighborhood streets, and you saw all the blooms everywhere, and now they're all yellow now and falling off. So it's kind of sad. I hate that for the flowers, though. This is the time of year we love to see it. Now, for those that have allergies, you're like, yeah, go away. But for everyone else, they really like it. Your crocuses are blooming. Yeah. Some of mine are just now coming out of the ground. I noticed in my backyard. My daffodils have yet to bloom. Everyone else has had blooms in my neighborhood, but mine, they're right there at that point, but they haven't bloomed yet. So I don't know if the cold is going to even allow them to. And my tulips are out of the ground. They're not as tall as the ones in the weather garden are because the heat out effect in downtown Louisville. These tulips came up Groundhog Day. They came out of the ground pretty early. Mine just now are coming out of the ground. So I'm hoping that because it's early for them, they won't have to worry about any of the blooms there. Your sinuses are crying. Looking at this today. Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Now, I was referring to allergies, but if you have sinus issues, and I had a lot of problems, I still do at times, but I had really bad problems with this most of my life. It's the change in the fronts, the pressure. That is what really messes up your sinus cavities. And the allergies are the catalyst. They get the swelling in your head to go when you're dealing with an allergy reaction to pollen. But then you change the pressure with all these different fronts, and that causes that sinus cavity to become irritated. And at times you can actually get the infection into the sinus. So no, for those that deal with sinuses or asthma, I totally understand. This is not a pattern that's comfortable. So you will feel that, unfortunately. Hoping you do okay. Just take those meds now that you know. Where's the sun? Seems to be cloudy all the time. Yeah, we'll get some later today, Tammy. It's gonna be a late day though, probably after 3 or 4 o'clock before we get some sun. And then we'll play peekaboo sunshine for a couple days, but we'll get a decent amount for the weekend. I'm hoping we can avoid any of the thunderstorms set up though for Sunday night. I think we're all tired. We don't want to deal with that. So I'm hoping we get the late night version of that, which means it'll be just a band of showers at best. If we get this early in the day on Sunday or early evening, then that's a different ball game, maybe for a few hours. But nothing, don't take my words a different way here. It's nothing like we just went through on wind energy or a tornado setup like that, or it's not even comparable. So I'll put your mind at ease there. But you can get maybe some small hail with those. I've seen that a lot with those fronts that drop in from the north. That's pretty common. So it will be breezy, by the way, on Sunday. I mean, you got to get, when you deal with the change in temperature like this back and forth, something's got to give. That's going to be the pressure. So you're going to get wind. So it may be a little breezy Saturday, but more so Sunday. And I'm thinking right now about 25 to 30 on the gust for Sunday. That's a lot better than 45 to 55, but it will be a little breezy. Any hint to Easter weekend? Not yet. It's just outside the range. I'm going to get new data Thursday on Easter, and I'll probably will have that for you Friday or maybe on the Saturday blog this week. I'll cover Easter. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Okay. Everyone good? All right. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just, let me get one more question here. Jeremy. Will most of next week be cloudy? Not so much the early week portion, but the middle and latter portion does look cloudy because these fronts, when they drop in, they dive down, but they slow once they get to Kentucky and West Virginia. They put the brakes on a bit because what's driving them and pushing them down leaves them behind and heads into Maine and Nova Scotia. So the fronts come in aggressively and then they just slow down. And because they slow down, the clouds and the shower chance kind of lingers a bit. So I would say the middle and latter half of next week probably will be fairly cloudy. Early part right now, I'm thinking it'll be a little bit more on the sunnier side. All right, guys. Thanks for your time, as always. Nothing too wild happening. That's good. We like quiet. And just let us know if you see any of these snowflakes, raindrops, or what you're getting. Again, MPing is a great thing to update. If you have that, send that report in. Wavy will pop it in as well. And that gives us an idea of where the atmosphere is today, because I do think it's going to be back and forth about another 3-4 hours before it makes the final decision on being raindrops. will eventually get warm enough to where it's not a debate, but it may take some time. And not all areas are going to see anything today. Some of you will be completely dry, to be honest. So the chance is only about 20, 30%. It's not very high. And we'll keep an eye on the weekend. Fair enough? All right, guys. Appreciate you as always. Enjoy the rest of the cloudy day today. And I hope you get a chance to enjoy the sunset too as we head into this evening. All right, everyone. Take care. And I will see you guys coming up at 11 a.m. on Monday. Take care, everybody.